Right. Yay. Well, thanks for having me. First of all, great presentation. Like, I wish I had done that when I was in as an undergraduate in college. I did do study abroad. Those of you that haven't done study abroad, highly recommend it. It's a life-changing experience. It looks great on your resume. Employers look for students that have had international experience. You learn a lot of skill sets through studying abroad, like learning how to navigate another culture, being independent. It's just a great thing to do. So if you have an opportunity to do that, I would recommend it. OSU has lots of scholarships that'll help you pay for your study abroad. Your financial aid package can also be used to apply toward your study abroad experiences. So definitely do research on that. It really does, it is a life-changing experience. Anyone who's gone on it would say that. So recommending that. So, and something to put on, as I said, your resume. So I'm going to talk about making a standout resume. So I have a presentation about resumes that's over an hour long, but I made this short and sweet and to the point about how to make your resume really stand out against other resumes that an employer might get from someone. And if you need more in-depth information about putting your resume together, every single college has a career advisor that can help you with that. And also the Career Development Center here at OSU, we have a brand new website. So all you have to do is go to the OSU's website, type in career development, and there are more resources on that page than you could ever possibly use. So please go to that website and look for all the amazing resources that we have for you. It's brand new just as of last term, and there's also a student guide on there as well. And you have access to those resources from now till whenever. And also career resources, you have a career center can help you up to a year after graduation. So even after you graduate, OSU Career Services is here to help you navigate your next steps, whether that be graduate school or getting a job. Okay. So we're gonna talk about making your resume stand out a bit. All right, so the first thing to think about is, on average, how long do you think the hiring manager is actually gonna review your resume if they get it in their hands? So do you think it's gonna be a minute, 6 seconds, 30 seconds, or 2 minutes? All right, how many people think it's a minute? All right, B, 6 seconds. C, 30 seconds. D, 2 minutes. Okay. The answer is B, 6 seconds is the average amount of time a hiring manager spends looking at your resume. So they're looking for key things, and if they don't see those in 6 seconds, your resume goes in the trash. Okay, so it's really critical that we include the right things on your resume and that your resume stands out in a crowd. Okay, 50% of all resumes a hiring manager receives automatically go in the trash can. And then they look at the other 50%, and then half of those go in the trash can. So they are really quick. They have to assess. The average hiring manager gets 200 applications per job. So they have to go through things really quickly and make snap decisions. That's even if your application gets in front of a hiring manager, because now most companies use what's called ATS, or applicant tracking software, to weed you out immediately. So this is, if your resume gets in front of an employer, these are the things, they studied the eye movements of hiring managers with special glasses, and they found that they spend most of the time on the top 1/3 of your resume. They look at your name, your contact information, and your education. Those are the most important things to them. Then they go along the left-hand side of your resume and scan real quickly to see who you've worked for. Do they recognize any of the names of the employers that you've worked for? So you want to make those stand out, because that's what they're looking for. Then last, they go down to the bottom and they see if there's anything unique or special about you from other candidates. So do you have honors and awards, study abroad, do you have internships, do you have campus and community involvement? So that's what they're going to look for. So that's the 6-second rule there. So as I was starting to say, there's now applicant tracking software, and 90% of large companies are using applicant tracking software. So what happens is when you go to apply for a job, you upload your resume to the company's website, And it scans your resume. That applicant tracking software scans your resume, and if you don't have keywords and phrases from the position description in your resume, it automatically kicks you out. So the hiring manager never even sees your resume. So it's really important then that you're going to tailor each and every resume to each and every position, because hiring managers are getting very selective and weeding out the competition as quickly as possible. So you need to play the game better than they do. All right, so where do you start? You analyze the position description. All right, you look for keywords and phrases, all those action verbs that they're using, skill sets they're asking for, technical software programs, and so forth. So again, we're going to tailor our resume. We have to match what we've done with what they want. We got to find those words, skills, verbs. And then we have to do some research on the company. We have to know their products and their services and who their clients are. We have to do little digging on the internet about press that's out there about them, about blogs, what other companies are saying about them, to find out how we're going to tailor our resume and our cover letter eventually to attract that employer to us. And most importantly, we have to figure out what kind of resume is best for this type of job. There's 4 different types of resumes. The one that you will most likely use as college students is a reverse chronological, where you put your most recent job on top and then you go down the line with your jobs that you've had in the past. There's also functional resumes. So back to the reverse chronological, usually that's 1 page, 2 pages max, okay? Then there's a functional resume where you're going to have section headings that are broken up by experiences. So you maybe have a social media experience. So you might have a section all about social media. Maybe you have a thing on marketing. Maybe you have a section on customer service. So you can break your resume into skill sets and then list the jobs accordingly. Then there's federal resumes. So if you're applying for a government job, the government expects you to have a whole different type of resume. And if you don't have a federal resume and you're applying for government jobs, they're going to kick you out of the system because your resume doesn't match the style they're looking for. And last but not least, there's a curriculum vitae or a CV. And a CV is usually used if you're applying to graduate school programs, or you want to work for a university, or you want to apply for research positions. Okay, so those are the 4 types. So then you got to figure out, all right, this is the position description. This is what they're looking for. Which of these resumes is going to best fit that position description? Okay. Any questions about that? Yeah.
If it says they want an academic resume,
that would be a CV. Okay. Yeah, an academic resume is a CV. All right. So formatting. 1 page is standard, but you can go to 2 pages unless you're doing your federal resume, and those could be 3 to 5 pages long. A CV can be up to 30 pages long. I've seen CVs as long as that. So, but the standard resume is 1 to 2 pages. You have to definitely make sure that all of your spelling and grammar is perfect on a resume, because that's a great way for a hiring manager to throw your resume into a garbage can. These, you always want to save it and send it as a PDF. Okay, because when you upload your resume to websites, if you leave it as a Word document, it might format awkwardly. You've probably had people send you Word documents and then you open it up and it looks weird. So always save it as a PDF, and also give it a professional name. I see so many students, they send me their resumes and it says best resume or resume 1. So you want to have elements of your name. So for me, I would say Karla _Rockhold resume. Okay, because some hiring managers are looking for those kind of minute details to weed you out of the competition. So make sure you name your resume too. Then these are the most preferred font styles for resumes for applicant tracking software. So Veranda, Arial, and Helvetica. So those are your best fonts, because the applicant tracking software can read all of its symbols and so forth. You're only supposed to use 1 font style on your resume, but you can use 2 to 3 styles of that. So you might underline it sometimes, or make it bold, or italicize it. But you want 1 font. These are the most preferred, unless you're a graphic design major, and then everything I say is out the window, because they want it to be as unique and creative and out of the box as humanly possible. Okay. You want to draw attention to your section titles because when an employer is reviewing your resume, they want to find key sections quickly and easily. So we have to do that. No paragraphs. Don't write paragraphs. You would do bullet points, and we'll talk about what they should look like. Another important thing is you need to have a professional email on your resume. So at the top of your resume, you'll have your contact information. Make sure you have a professional email. You're saying, what's a professional email? It's elements of your first and last name. So for me, it could be Karla.Rockhold or K.Rockhold or Rockhold K. Especially if you have a common first and last name, it might be hard to find an email address that works for you. But you want to have elements of your name. That makes it professional. And then you want to, so I have had students that come to see me and they have lovesfluffybunnies@gmail.com. And I'm like, nope, that is not a professional email. One student had his mom get on the phone with me and argue with me that he should be able to keep his favorite email address. I'm like, you can keep it for your friends, but if you're applying for jobs, you really need to be professional, okay? Phone message, too. You need to have a phone number on your resume so that employers can contact you. You need to pay attention to your voicemail message. I have had several students at OSU where the employer called them on the phone to offer them either a job or to set up an interview, and the student had an inappropriate voicemail message, and they decided to not offer them the job or not interview them because of their voicemail message. So when you're in the hiring process, you got to think about all those little things. Also, you want to clean up your social media. I didn't put that on there, but a lot of employers, if they're going to offer you a job, they will scan your social media. They'll Google you and see what's out there about you. So you want to make private all of your social media accounts and make sure that whatever's projected out there about yourself is something that you think an employer would take offense to. Any questions about that? That's kind of a big sticky subject sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the question. I had a question about the social media one because is when you're saying clean up your social media, because the thing that I keep thinking about is well, why can't I just live my normal life on my social media, not worry about that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Unfortunately, some employers take offense to some things. So you probably have friends that have pictures of them drinking or partying and things like that. And some employers just don't want that out there about their employees.
Okay.
So
is it the tagged photos of you that you need to really
just kind of go in and Google yourself and see what's out there and say, would my grandmother take offense to this? Okay. Unless you have a super cool grandma, but the average grandma might go, I don't know if you should have that out there. So if your grandma would say, you probably think an employer might say, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just to be mindful of that. Yeah.
I have to go to class.
Oh yes, of course. Totally understand. Go to class. Yes, that's way more important. You can always come and get help though.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you had a question.
On that subject of social media, I have some cousins and friends that they changed their last name. Her name was Bell, but she changed it to Bauer or something just because she didn't want her employer to look at her social media, and so she just changed her last name on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Option. And then she changed it back once she
got a job.
Yeah. Once she wasn't in that position. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are, as you know, there are some employers that are far more conservative than others. So you have to look at the type of employer that you're applying to too.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have more applications than they have jobs, you're going to want to be tighter, in what you present.
Yeah.
And if they have lots of openings, they're probably not going to be as picky and analyze. So it really is industry specific.
Okay.
Just something to think about that. All right, next. Sections, you have to have an education section, which all of you would have Oregon State University on there. If you completed a degree at another university, maybe you went to got an associate's degree from a community college, you could put that on there too. But if you attended another university or institution and did not earn a degree there, you don't want to put that institution on your resume. You definitely need to write the degree, your major, your minors, anticipated graduation date. GPA is completely optional if you'd like to put that on there. And I gave you some examples of some resumes. You can find these examples also on the Career Development Center's website, plus 20 other examples of resumes that you can choose from. Then the other one you have to have on your resume is an experience section. And that you can be professional experience, relevant experience, however you want to title that, you'll have an experience section. Then optional sections, that's where you're going to really stand out to an employer, which optional sections you include. Sometimes you'll know which optional sections to include because the position description will give you some hints about what they're looking for, but sometimes you don't know. So you could have a professional summary statement on your resume. The first example here, which is Clint Williams' example, that has a professional summary statement on it. You can have a skills or technical skills section, languages, awards, honors, or leadership positions, campus and community involvement, or just volunteer experience, relevant coursework and internships. So I have a lot of students do that if their major doesn't necessarily completely align to what job they have, but they've taken some coursework here at OSU that would help them in that particular career. I have them do a relevant coursework section. Global experiences, study abroad. Those are some great section titles that are optional. So some of you might have 3 of those, some of you might have all of those sections, but those are some to choose from.
What happens if your resume starts getting too long?
It's okay to go to 2 pages. You don't want to go beyond that because the employers generally aren't going to look at it. If you're applying to graduate school, you could have more pages, certainly. Yes?
You might get into this later,
Yeah.
but for relevant classes, it's like if I put an OSU course on there, I know what I took and what the content of the course was and how it would apply to the job. How do I explain that to an employer that I took this course and its name is this, but what we actually learned was this, and this is why I think it's relevant to this position?
Yeah, so if we had a relevant coursework section, we could make it like an experience section where you put the course title, not like BS 105 or something like that. You would actually write it out, like, you know, whatever the name of the course was. And then you could say topics covered. And then you could like put bullet points or the things that you did in that class. So we could arrange it in a variety of different ways. You could just have a quick statement next to it, or you could do bullet points for what things were covered. Yeah. But that's really helpful for a lot of students who especially don't have any work experience, that a relevant coursework section can be really helpful.
For one of those optional sections, would, like, for instance, like school projects?
Yeah.
Because like I had a project back in like my senior year of high school, but I'm still really proud of it because like we had to do like an economic project about something that was going on in our state, and my friend and I chose to do it on the salmon population.
Yeah, so if it's relevant to the job you're applying for, that's fine. I wouldn't put high school work on there if it were irrelevant. Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't even put your high school on your education section unless you're applying for a job at that high school. Then you can say, oh, I'm a graduate of this high school. That would stand out. I had a student today where I let them keep the high school on there because they're from a really, really, really small town in Oregon. And I think it's important that that company know that they're from that town, okay, that company's from. So that's the only time. So that's really individualized in that respect. So these are the top skills that employers are looking for. So if you can highlight any of those skills on your resume, I highly recommend it. These are the ones that are found on most position descriptions and what employers are generally saying they're looking for. So you can either put it in a skills section, or you can discuss it in your cover letter, or make sure you draw attention to those under your work experience sections when you're creating your bullet points. All right, so work experience, that's the most important section of your resume for employers because they want to know what did you do and how is this going to be related to what I want you to do at my job. So how you've organized it could be different. Like I usually like the students to put the name of the company or organization first, then the city, state, and then their title below it. But I've seen reverse, where you put the title, your position title first and then the company below. But you want to make the name of the company stand out because, as I said, that's what employers are scanning for. They're like, who has this person worked for? Do I recognize any of these? So make that stand out. And then you have bullet points, and each bullet point needs to start with a strong action verb. Whenever possible, look at the verbs in the position description and try to use the same verbs they used in your experience section, especially if it's related, or you can interchange the verbs. That's really helpful.
What if you have experience that doesn't exactly fit into like working for a company, but it's relevant to the job that you're applying for?
Put it down.
Put it in the experience section, or would you write a new?
You can make a new section for it or put it in your experience section. It all depends on how you want to format your resume. I don't want everyone's resume to look exactly the same, but we definitely want resumes to fall within the parameters so that an employer doesn't get something odd and go, what do I do with this, and what are these section titles mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the date on like when you were working.
Yeah.
So for instance, I worked at the Portland Pickles baseball team as a concession stand manager
summer?
for like, yeah, it was just like a summer position, but it was for 2 years. Like,
Yeah, so you can do summers 2016, 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots of ways we can format that.
Okay, and then like the other thing that I was wondering is, for instance, if you like had, what kind of,
Yeah, I forgot.
What types of dates would you recommend we put on there? Because like if you had a job that didn't really last very long but is relevant, do we still put that on there?
Sure. Yeah, especially if you have space. It's all going to be on how much space do I have and what would the employer like to see on my resume.
Okay.
Okay, so again, how you write your work experience sections are important. Maybe you worked at the MU at Togo's, so you serve sandwiches to satisfy customer needs. So that would be a basic one. You can make it better by providing excellent customer service and implementing new processes. You can even make it better by talking about how you made an impact or a difference. So you decreased customer wait time by 20%. So whenever you can, you want to highlight how you made a difference or made an impact or made that company or organization better. And I gave you this worksheet, and it has questions to ask yourself on how to focus on your accomplishments. Okay, so doing this will kind of help you craft those statements so they sound a little bit better. Bye, thanks for coming. And whenever possible, you want to quantify results. Yeah, you had a question.
You might get into this actually, but how do you quantify these results? Like, how do you know that you really decreased anything by 20%? Or
Yeah.
are you just guessing and inflating yourself?
Sometimes you're guessing, and sometimes you can talk to your manager, especially if you're currently working there. Say, hey, I'm not probably going to work here forever, especially if you're at the MU, at the Togos. They know that's not your dream job for life. So say, what kinds of things could I quantify in my resume? Sometimes you can get ideas from the position description of the job you're currently working at, because it might say, we'll meet with 750 customers annually. Sometimes you can get those numbers from the position description. Sometimes they might be in your performance evaluations that you get from your job. Sometimes it's just having a really good conversation with your manager. Sometimes it's just kind of keeping some, data yourself. It's not going to be perfect data, but you can kind of think, how much did I do here? Like, did I increase anything? Did I decrease something? Was there something that I could talk about? So like, even if you were a start leader here at OSU, maybe you welcomed 600 students, or you created a 20-page document, or you collected 10 samples of something, or you participated in 4 months of research, those kinds of things. Does that make sense? Okay. So this was just a quick reflection activity. So some things that have to be on your resume. So I said there had to be 2 sections on your resume. Does anyone remember what the 2 sections have to be? Education and some sort of experience section. Good. What are some sections that you could include on your resume? What are some optional ones? Yeah.
Relative classes or coursework.
Yeah.
And then also volunteer experience.
Exactly. So relevant coursework, relevant projects, volunteer experiences. How many fonts should I use on my resume? One font type. That's right. And does your resume need to have your physical address on it?
No.
No, it does not. And a lot of people are recommending that you don't put your physical address on there. So you can just simply put your city and your state. You don't have to have your physical address on your resume. If you are offered the job, HR will have you fill out paperwork with your physical address on it. But until then, nobody needs to know where you live. And in today's society, there's enough strange people out there that we don't need your address floating around in the big world. Let's see. If you don't have any work experience, what are some sections you could put on your resume to kind of fill it up?
Coursework.
Coursework? Mm-hmm.
Volunteer experience.
Volunteer, what were you saying?
I said volunteer.
Volunteer. Yeah, those are some great ones to put on your resume. Also, you could create a professional summary. So that one resume example I gave you, there's like, it's sort of like your elevator pitch at the very top of your resume to draw attention to it. Or you could put a skills section, so skills that you have would be another great one to put on there. All right, so the greatest tool that we have here at OSU for you is called VMOC. It's on the Career Development Center website. You upload your resume as a PDF and it gives you feedback in 25 seconds on how good your resume is. And you can do it 10 times per year. You can upload it, resumes 10 times a year for feedback. About 2 weeks after graduation, it kicks you out of the system and you can't use it anymore. So you definitely want to use it while you're still here at OSU. It's a very expensive program, and so OSU pays per student. So we can't currently keep alumni on it. We're trying to negotiate a contract where you could have access for up to a year after graduation, but we haven't been able to do that yet. So know that 2 weeks after graduation, I'm out of that system. So utilize it. It's super great. So what Focus 2 does, so you can, here's the Career Development Web Center site. You just click on VMOC. You log in with your OWNID. Then it's going to highlight your resume in different sections. It's going to highlight things in red, yellow, and green. If it highlights it in red, it means, whoa, stop, you need to fix this section, it is wrong. If it highlights it in yellow, it's like, there's some things you could change here, it's not perfect yet. Green means you did a great job, looks good, keep it. You have a score of 0 to 100 and you're scored in three separate sections on impact, presentation, and competencies. And that's how you get your score. And so it may be in impact, you get a high score, but in presentation, you get a low score. So you know whereabouts on your resume you need to make changes. So what the screen will look like is this. And then you scroll over to the different sections. So right now, impact, this person got a score of 36 out of 40. So that was a really good score. And it tells them the things they did well, maybe things that they could change. Then you would scroll over to presentation, 13 out of 30. That's not very good. And it would give them highlighted ideas of how they can improve their resume. Okay. And you cannot, the one bad thing about the program is you can't make the changes on the VMOC platform, so you have to go back to your document, make the suggested changes, and then upload it again to get an improved score. Okay, a basic good score is 65. So you never want to submit a resume to an employer that has a score less than 65, because that means that's not a really good resume. You want to shoot for the high 70s, low 80s. So the highest score I've seen at OSU is an 85 on a resume. So you want to shoot for as high a score as you can. If you get within the 70s, you've got a pretty strong resume. It's employer worthy. Okay. If you need help, in Kerr, we have the Career Center. There's student workers in there that are there Monday through Friday from 10 to 3 that can help you with your resume. If you have really specific things like I'm about to graduate, my resume, I can't get the score over 60, I really need help, what should I do? You can always find your career advisor like myself in your specific college. So I work for the College of Liberal Arts and College of Education, but there's someone just like me in every college on campus that can help you. And you just find out who we are on Handshake. And so these are your people. So Claire is Science and Public Health, me, College of Education and Liberal Arts, and then Britt is Forestry, CEOS, and College of Agriculture. So you can use one of us to help you with any questions that you have. Does anyone have any questions right now that I could help with? Hi. No? Okay, also use the resources on the website. We have great resources for you for your resume on the Career Development Center site. And you can find that VMOC on there too. It's amazing. Gives you great detailed information about how to improve your resume. Okay, how was that? Good? Was that helpful? Yep, all right. Perfect. Good. Anything else? I think we're good. I think everybody, we're good.